What if I told you that having inner peace doesn't require their approval, their apology, or even their understanding? What if I told you by detaching emotionally from worrying about how other people feel is a way for you to free yourself from the expectations of others and to take your power back? My name is Ed Hegan. I'm a former New York City firefighter and a mindfulness meditation guide. And I know the pain of holding on to people or imagining a life or situations or expectations that just drain our energy. Because sometimes we just stay too long. We explain too much. We give too many chances because we crave connection, validation. We want closure. But peace isn't found in their reaction. Our inner peace is found in our ability to let go with love and to reclaim our own power. And let's start this meditation out with some grounding breath work. Exhale all the air out of your lungs. Breathe in slowly through the nose, filling up your belly and your chest. Hold. Let your shoulders drop. Let your body soften. And slowly release. Inhale slowly through the nose, filling up fully. Hold. Release tension, tightness, stress, and release. Inhale, filling up fully. Release any need to feel understood and just be here right now, and you are safe to let go. And continue to breathe slowly and deeply. And this connects us with our bodies. It connects us more deeply with the present moment and each other. It allows us to quiet down our monkey mind and forget about yesterday and stop worrying about tomorrow and just be here now for a few minutes. And some of the key points for us to dive into this meditation require us to recognize the times in our lives when we felt we really needed the validation, approval, love, and permission from people in our lives. And how in some ways we become people pleasers and trying to over-explain ourselves to people, when the truth of what you truly are does not need an explanation, doesn't need anybody's approval. You don't need anybody's permission to exist in the fullness of who you are. That you are whole and complete just as you are and always have been. And so if we're feeling something is unsettled, we don't need to chase closure, especially from people who are committed to misunderstanding us, to people who benefit from your confusion. We need to recognize where we give our power away by seeking that validation and approval. Because approval is addictive, but it's also optional. Because when we start to recognize where we learned these habits of trying to gain approval and affection, permission, validation, we start to recognize that we've been trained to be a good boy or good girl and do what we're told. And so we can opt out of that. We can start to change the relationship we have with ourselves, to recognize that our energy is sacred and that we don't owe anyone access to our peace, that anyone that doesn't honor who we are as individuals doesn't deserve us going out of our way to try to include them. If there's no reciprocity in the relationship, if someone is expecting you to explain yourself to them, but is just taking advantage of your kindness and manipulating that as a weakness, if we recognize that, we can draw back our power. Because emotional detachment is not coldness. It's a sign of self-respect and self-love, that we deserve to be treated with the love and respect that we treat other people with. And so when we no longer need other people's validations, we're free to live in alignment with our soul. And that can be a beautiful way to forge a connection of approval, validation, love, acceptance from ourselves. So let them misunderstand you. If they're committed to making you the villain in their story, or trying to manipulate your feelings, making you feel guilty and shameful, well, let them walk away, because you are still whole, and your self-worth is not a debate. It's a birthright. You were born the way that you were born, but you were also conditioned the way that you were conditioned. And when we start to recognize that some of our conditioning is standing in the way of us reclaiming our energy, we can simply recognize those patterns and choose to say, no, thank you. I no longer want to participate in this. Because you are not responsible for how others receive your truth. If you don't intend to hurt someone and you speak your truth and it rubs people the wrong way, then let that be their problem. Because when you stop performing for acceptance, you begin to really start embodying this self-love. And it really is all about this relationship we have with ourselves. Because when we realize that in some ways the people that raised us, they really didn't know how to teach us all the skills and tools we needed to develop the self-respect and love that we needed, so we had the resilience and confidence to navigate life's challenges, we can let go of the expectation that other people are going to give us that acceptance and validation, and we can start to cultivate it for ourselves. And so if we sit with ourselves, instead of trying to fix everything by explaining ourselves, we can sit in that silence, and that can really be the way that we respond. We can respond with silence to other people who have expectations that are just unfair or unbalanced, or to sit in silence with our own heart, to recognize when our mind is working on overdrive trying to fix things. And so detachment allows room for clarity, for healing, and for transformation. And you're allowed to walk away, brother, even from the people you love. If it protects your peace, you are allowed to walk away. And in this way, we reclaim our sovereignty. We stop chasing around validation and people-pleasing. If we say something, if we set a boundary, if we express our truth, and it is not received, understood, or accepted, if it's not valued, if it's not honored, if we're not treated with the same respect that we show others, then we are free to recognize that as a key clue to moving forward, withdrawing our energy, and detaching emotionally from the need to explain ourselves or gain validation or approval from anyone. So we want to close this meditation, but we want to really embody what it means to breathe in deeply and be at peace with who we are. Because the more we learn to emotionally detach from unhealthy dynamics, the more we return to ourselves. And the breath can be a beautiful way to remind ourselves. So if you're feeling like you're overwhelmed, like you want to explain yourself, like you want to justify what happened, if you want to make sure that you feel understood, stop. Take a deep breath in. Offer yourself that very love and validation that you've been chasing. Stop proving yourself. Stop chasing. Stop trying to fix. You don't need to do it anymore. And when we stop chasing and fixing, and we start to remember that we are already enough, that we are already worthy, and that we are already loved just the way that we are, that we are whole and complete just as we are. We always have been. And we always will be. And in this way, we can learn and grow and become the version of ourselves that we needed when we were going through tough times in life. And not only do we become that for ourselves, but then we become that for other people. And we give other people permission to stop chasing validation, stop people pleasing, and bring the truth and the light of who they truly are into the world, which is really our life purpose. And you don't have to do this alone. If you struggle with people pleasing and you've been conditioned to be this way your whole life, and you want to learn more about deepening your meditation practice, or regulating your nervous system, or learning how to work with the temptation to want to continue to people please, and you want to draw that energy back and live in more wholeness, you can sign up for a free discovery call at edwoodstock.com or send me a DM. And so this practice is a valuable way for you to reconnect with yourself. And it's really important that we take care of ourselves and each other.